DOULUO DALU Chapter 25, Tool Spirit's Formidable Power. Part 1. The Tool Spirit's second Spirit Ring ability, and moreover a full-strength attack. Although Tang San thought he had slightly more spirit power than the Tai family brothers, facing their all-out full-strength final attack he still dared not take it lightly. But, circumstances arose making Tang San turn pale with fright, as those two hammers whistling out in midair unexpectedly suddenly separated, one pursuing Xiao Wu's soaring figure, one arcing to strike at him. The Tai family brothers' second Spirit Ring ability unexpectedly had a pursuing effect. Right now, the Tai family brothers' bodies were already tightly bound by blue-silver grass, the sharp thorns piercing their bodies, poison setting in, and in a moment were unable to move further. But in their eyes glinted a hopeful light, hoping that final attack would be able to give results. If it was only able to knock down Tang San, the binding on them would also be easily dissolved. What's to be done? Between instants, Tang San already made a decision. A blue-silver grass without thorns soared into the air, accurately binding Xiao Wu's slender waist, and with an effort obliquely throwing her away. In that way Tang San determined that although the Tai family brothers' iron hammer were able to pursue the opponent, they were still only capable of doing so under a certain angle, not at all unlimited pursuit. He threw Xiao Wu in the reverse direction facing the iron hammer, and as expected breaking her away from the iron hammer's all-in-one throw attack range. But, since Tang San used all his effort on Xiao Wu, he himself was already without time to adapt, and the other iron hammer already reached him at the same time as he threw Xiao Wu. In a crisis, Tang's sect martial skills could act without restraint. Seeing the iron hammers already come at him, intense wind enveloped his body. Tang San's both palms exerted mysterious jade hand, body spinning rapidly, swatting with full internal strength controlling crane catching dragon, practically in a split second turning his palms. 7 successive palm strikes practically simultaneously clapped on the iron hammer head. Under the effect of Tang San's mysterious heaven skill internal strength using controlling crane catching dragon, the iron hammer was finally brought to diverge 1 chi, and although Tang San's body was flung away in response, in the end he was not struck from the front. With a loud hong sound, the iron hammer fell to the floor. Tang San's body rolled in midair, still without landing. He already coughed up a mouthful of blood. In midair, Xiao Wu, seeing Tang San injured enough to spit blood, was immediately enraged. "Scoundrels, you court death!" Both hands simultaneously rising, without any sound of the air splitting, 4 shadows sharply shot from her sleeves, aiming for Tai Long and Tai Hu. The shadows' targets were all the pair's eyes. Although Xiao Wu couldn't learn Tang sect hidden weapons, there were still many mechanism-type hidden weapons. She practically wore a similar collection as what Tang San had. Right now, in anger, and unable to consider the consequences, directly used the silent sleeve dart. As a mechanism made by Tang San, this silent sleeve dart's penetrating power was extremely strong. Although Tai Long and Tai Hu had robust bodies, if their eyes were hit, then let alone simply blinding, the sleeve dart's formidable power was sufficient to bore into their brains. And at this moment Tai Long and Tai Hu were already completely restricted in Tang San's blue-silver grass, and after using all-in-one throw their spirit power was greatly reduced, the paralyzing poison taking the opportunity to spread. Wanting to move a finger or toe was already an extravagant hope, let alone dodging Xiao Wu's sleeve darts. Before the darts had even reached them, they brought a strong wind that already numbed their eyes, under the great shock secretly crying out in their hearts, "Eo, this life ends." "Xiao Wu, don't!" Tang San swiftly shouted, right hand in a flash throwing from his waist, 4 cold lights flying obliquely. Ding 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 sounds echoed lightly, the 4 sleeve darts practically only 1 kun from Tai Long and Tai Hu's eyes were knocked flying. Originally, when Tang San narrowly escaped danger, he drew out and threw 4 willow leaf throwing knives from 24 moonlit bridges. Although throwing needles were very fast, their weight was too different from the sleeve darts, insufficient to obstruct the sleeve darts' attack, but throwing knives were much heavier than the throwing needles. However, this was fortunately Tang San with purple demon eye, the astonishing eyesight in addition to his extraordinary understanding of the speed of the sleeve darts he had made himself, otherwise, still could not save the Tai brothers. Xiao Wu flipped in midair and landed on the ground. "Little San, what are you doing?" Right now, her charming little face was flushed with anger, fiercely glaring at the two Tai brothers. Tang San shook his head at Xiao Wu. "Even if they are enemies they must be saved, my injuries are not serious." Gaze switching towards the already pale Tai Long and Tai Hu. "You two, this spirit fight should be our win." Tai Long and Tai Hu still could speak somewhat, and hurriedly nodded, Tai Long saying, "Many thanks for the favor of our lives, little brother. We concede." Tang San withdrew the blue-silver grass, inhaling a deep breath, within his body enduring unceasing burning pain. Fortunately, he had not been struck head-on by the other side's attack, and adding mysterious heaven skill belonging to the genuine first class of internal strength, regarding defense it was extraordinarily good, cultivating for many years was equivalent to constant warm support of the internal organs. He only needed to harmonize his breath for a time after returning and this would not be of any consequence. As Tang San and Xiao Wu walked out from the 2-against-2 spirit fight area, Daimyo Bai's group had also already finished their spirit fights. Today could be said to be to everyone's delight and satisfaction. Apart from Zhu Zuking's defeat by Tang San, the others all obtained spirit fight victories. Thanks to 2 spirit fights, Tang San and Xiao Wu each obtained 2 points and 20 gold coins in winnings. "The Dean?" Tang San asked Dai Mubai. Dang Mubai helplessly said. "Heaven knows where he went. He made clear that after we finished the spirit fights we are to go back first." While the 5 walked out from the spirit fights, they could again and again hear the sounds of acclaim. In today's spirit fights, although they could not be said to have profited much, Tang San still felt he had profited not little from this kind of lethal combat. Especially the one battle with the Tai brothers let him see Tool Spirit's formidable power. Every kind of spirit all had its own characteristics, as long as it was used appropriately, all could reach maximum effect. Talking about strength, he and Xiao Wu were clearly above the opponents, but because they somewhat underestimated the enemy they almost suffered defeat. In Tang San's mind he couldn't help but remember what Grandmaster once said, in battles between spirit masters, one first of all must feel clearly the opponent's ability. If unable to do so, then, everything must be treated in the most cautious manner. Even if it was the lowest rank spirit master, they might still possess a deadly spirit ability. "You return first. Just now the Dean said to have me go to his shop," Ma Hongjun suddenly said. In the pair of small eyes flickered a somewhat excited light. Dai Mubai's face showed an expression like a smile yet not a smile. "Then we will return first, you take it a bit easy." "Boss Dai, aren't you coming?" "I'm not, don't speak nonsense, quickly leave." Dai Mubai snappily glared at him, out of the corners of his eyes glancing at Zhu Zuking. Fatty's reaction was clearly somewhat slow, without making out the meaning in Dai Mubai's eyes, his plump face blushing somewhat because of excitement. "Come on, let's go together. Did you not say women are a natural resource of population?" Dai Mubai was finally unable to show restraint. "Quickly get lost. My taste is not as lacking as yours." Ma Hongjun snorted somewhat discontentedly, but confronting the flickering fury in Dai Mubai's evil eyes, he opened his mouth. In the end he did not dare confront this evil eye white tiger with words, and turned around and left. "Boss Dai, what is that lewd fatty going to do?" Xiao Wu asked. Dai Mubai laughed out loud, saying, "You all say he is lewd, what can he do? Evil fire can't be suppressed constantly." Xiao Wu snapped. "Again going to harm girls? I truly wonder whether that spirit transformation of his isn't related to his natural disposition." Dai Mubai said. "Harming is out of the question, don't you know this world has a kind of places called brothels?" Tang San somewhat not daring to believe said. "You are saying, the Dean will bring Ma Hongjun to go to that kind of place?" He had heard of brothels in his past life, and naturally knew what places those were. Daimyo Bai said. This also is a matter that can't be helped. Ma Hongzhen's spirit apart from that defect is among one of the most powerful among beast spirits. He is also considered to be the dean's direct disciple. He can't have him give up cultivation forever or see his body burst and die. Zhu Zuqing made a rare comment. Men all are filthy. Xiao Wu giggled, saying. Little sister Zuqing, your attack must not be too wide. Oh, Tang San is certainly very neat. By no means like those kinds of Daimyo Bai and Ma Hongzhen. Daimyo Bai snappily said. Fine, your Tang little San is clear as ice and clean as jade, we are all filthy, all right. Compared to fatty my tastes are much better. Xiao Wu immediately assumed a mimicking appearance, watching Daimyo Bai in a burst of angry suffering helplessly shake his head. As he furtively glanced at Zhu Zuqing, he discovered Zhu Zuqing was already looking at him, only the light in her eyes seemed even more ice-cold. The young miss snorted, suddenly walking up in front of Daimyo Bai. Your tastes are better than whose? Daimyo Bai stared blankly a moment, not knowing how he should respond. Zuqing, I. He currently already became aware that his words were mistaken. If tastes were better than fatty, didn't that say he just faced a different kind of women from that particular occupation? Whether senior or junior, whether phoenix in grass nest or courtesan, what was the difference between anyone dealing with the industry? Zhu Zuqing's eyes suddenly brimmed with disdain and contempt. You are 15 years old? You make me sick. Saying so, she turned around and left. Part 2. Ever since Zhu Zuqing arrived at Shrek Academy, Daimyo Bai had continuously repressed himself, tolerating her. Right now, the always cold and arrogant him could no longer suppress his innermost fury. You stop right there. Zhu Zuqing did not pay him any attention, and not only didn't stop walking, on the contrary increased her pace. You. Daimyo Bai fiercely raised his right hand, intense white light in the center of his palm. He had never had a good temperament, or rather, his temperament was more irritable than that of any other person. However, in the end he still endured it. The white light in his palm did not flash, his mouth issuing a tiger-like hissing gasp, then just followed behind Zhu Zuqing back towards the academy. Xiao Wu blinked, in a low voice asking Tang San. What's going on with them? Tang San shook his head. I also don't know. From what I saw on that day with the enrollment, Daimyo Bai should be not familiar with Zhu Zuqing from before. But he seems a bit different towards Zhu Zuqing. Could it truly only be because of the possibility of their spirits being compatible stirring the harmonization ability? Forget about it, we still shouldn't poke around in other people's personal matters. Xiao Wu raised her hand and touched Tang San's stomach. Tang San was startled by her. What are you doing? Xiao Wu's eyes were slightly red-rimmed. Does it still hurt? All because of me, you were injured. Tang San at this came to himself, she was pointing to his injury. Faintly smiling he shook his head. No matter, as big brother I can't be so frail, let's go, we'll quickly catch up, they are both almost out of sight. As they returned to the Shrek Academy, outside the academy gate they were astonished to find two people. Tonight's moonlight was very good. With the aid of moonlight, they immediately recognized Oscar and Ning Rongrong waiting for them here. Ning Rongrong's mood looked to already have returned to normal, on her beautiful little cheeks once again hung a smiling expression, sitting on the big stone above the academy gate, swinging her legs, with a somewhat thoughtful expression. But Oscar's expression just seemed somewhat unsightly, brows slightly wrinkled, from time to time furtively glancing at Ning Rongrong, the expression in his eyes revealing a somewhat reluctant light. Zhu Zuqing, as if she did not see the two people, immediately entered the academy, and without turning her head headed directly towards her dorm. Daimyo Bai frowned, the chill in his evil eyes even more powerful. What are you doing here? Light flickered in Daimyo Bai's evil eyes, coldly speaking. Ning Rongrong hopped down from the overhead stone. Waiting for you, of course. How come you returned so late? And the dean and Fatty? Daimyo coldly replied. They are occupied. Have you figured it out? Staying or leaving? Ning Rongrong without the slightest hesitation said. Of course it's staying, this place is too interesting. How could I stay away? What's with your expression, are you a Jiangshi one? Were you beaten by Zuking there? Haha, Oscar said you are some expert level lover, can't even handle a young miss. Ning Rongrong did not again cover up her liberated nature. From childhood she had been highly intelligent, and saw very many things from Daimyo expression, not in the least hesitating to make fun of him. Daimyo evil eyes held a cold light. Ning Rongrong. Don't provoke my patience. This is Shrek Academy, not your home. Other people may fear you at Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School, but I Daimyo don't. Provoking me, take care I don't rape and kill you, then do it all over. Ning Rongrong giggled, saying. I'm really scared, deliberately sticking out her still developing little chest. Come on, let me see how you rape me. You. Daimyo in the end was unable to suppress his fury. If the white tiger does not reveal its power, you will truly consider me a sick cat. Intensely angry power abruptly surged out, spirit power erupting in a flash. Ning Rongrong's body practically in a split second was thrown away by the shock. Oscar in a rush advanced a step, about to catch Ning Rongrong, but himself fell butt first on the ground from the impulse. Mubai. Tang San took an obstructing step in front of Ning Rongrong, both hands held at either side, using controlling crane catching dragon energy, sending out Daimyo spirit power to either side. Everyone are fellow students. Let it be. Even though Daimyo only released spirit power, without launching any attack, the shock to Tang San who was already internally injured made his blood and breath roil. In his heart secretly shocked, this perhaps was Daimyo genuine power. 37th rank spirit power indeed was much more powerful than his own. Ning Rongrong from childhood till now, at what time had she been humiliated like this? She had not expected Daimyo to actually truly dare touch her. Although she had not truly been injured, the soreness over her entire body still told her this was entirely real. For a moment tears surrounded the edges of her eyes, rigidly staring speechless at Daimyo. Daimyo looked at Tang San in the way before him, and slowly spit out a mouthful of turbid qi, the spirit power on his body restraining within. Fine, little San, I'll let you save face. His evil eyes shot Ning Rongrong a cold glance. You remember my words well, this isn't your home, don't provoke me again, otherwise, I won't consider your status. Leaving these words behind, he started off with big strides, heading straight inside the academy. Tang San. Ning Rongrong wiping the tears from her eyes, suddenly called out Tang San's name loudly. Tang San suppressed the discomfort within his body, turning to look at her. Ning Rongrong ferociously said. I'll hire you to kill him, use those unusual weapons of yours to kill him. As long as you do it, afterwards you are our Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School's honored guest, I'll give you money, 10,000 gold spirit coins, how about it? Furthermore afterwards the unconditional backing of Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School. If the person now standing there was an ordinary spirit master, they would certainly be sorely tempted. Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School's backing, the meaning of these several words had what kind of significance? As one of this world's 7 great families, the power which Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School possessed was hard to imagine. Any spirit master with their backing could rise high on DOULUO continent. Especially to the kind of genius like Tang San, having the backing of this kind of tremendous influence, one obtained incalculable advantages. Tang San unhurriedly walked in front of Ning Rongrong, looking deeply at her. Ning Rongrong, in this world, there are some things that money and influence cannot buy. This academy is still only an academy. We are all students. If you continue to have this kind of attitude and the feeling of being up high brought by the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile School, then, I urge you to still leave this place. You, Don't you know how powerful our 7 treasures glazed tile school is? Ning Rongrong was unwilling to look at him. Tang San calmly smiled, as a person of 2 lives, how could he not be able to figure out this 12 years old girl before him? What do I know? What don't I know? Does this have any relation to you? Xiao Wu, let's go. With a somewhat regretful shake of the head, Tang San and Xiao Wu also walked into the academy. Looking at their departing silhouettes, Ning Rongrong's entire person was rigid. If speaking of Daimyo Bai's strength making her angry, then, the pitying expression in Tang San's eyes as he left provoked her even more. From childhood until now, she had all along grown up in the cupped palms of 7 treasures glazed tile school's big hots. The thinking in her heart had long ago formed, but today, one after another receiving 3 powerful provocations, made her suddenly question, "Eoe, are they all like this to me? Am I actually in the wrong?" Oscar. How could Ning Rongrong want to be convinced the mistake was hers, turning around to look towards just now crawling from the ground to stand up Oscar. "Don't you want to help me?" Oscar's peach blossom eyes revealed a faint disappointment. "When I first saw you, you made me feel like a celestial being. I believe that after you grow up, you will certainly be a stunning beauty. And also, I was most fond of the gentleness you showed at that time. Therefore, I decide to pursue you regardless, even if I only come from a common family and you are a child of 7 treasures glazed tile school, I still did not care. But, I discovered I was wrong. Moreover, outrageously wrong." "Wrong? Why?" Ning Rongrong looked at him without understanding. Oscar smiled faintly. "Because you are not at all my type. You can't make me ignore the entire forest for that tree. I can't match up to 7 treasures glazed tile school's little princess. How could I help you even if I wanted to? What person do you take me for? Your servant, nothing more. Sorry, I still do better on my own. I think, at 7 treasures glazed tile school you would have very many people wanting to help you, need not run short of someone like me." He already knew clearly, before the others' return, Oscar already deeply sensed Ning Rongrong's flawed nature. Even though they all still were young, Oscar also had more than one girlfriend. Including Tang San, of all the new students who still did not know that Oscar, apart from that unusual spirit of his mind just was even more frightening. As an intelligent person, when fully aware of the matter, how would he choose? Facing the difficult path? No, he was not that stubborn, at times giving up just was the best alternative. Watching Oscar also head inside the academy, Ning Rongrong not resigned shouted. "Do you not like me? Even you aren't willing to support me?" Oscar halted, without turning his head. What Tang San said just now was right. If you still have this kind of attitude and disposition, leave this place. This truly does not suit you. Only, with you like this, the word "eo friend" will forever be an extravagant hope for you. Part 3. Oscar had left. Loneliness, helplessness, frustration, pain, every kind of feeling continuously shocked Ning Rongrong's only 12-year-old heart. Teardrops silently falling, she suddenly discovered, perhaps she truly was in the wrong. Had she had friends? Those other children her age at the school, on seeing her would bow and scrape, or hide in the distance. Behind her back they called her the little she-devil. Friends, only was an extravagant hope? No, 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 Ning Rongrong suddenly felt a kind of powerful panic inundate her heart. This one night, to her, inevitable was a sleepless night. Very many years later, as 7 treasures glazed tile Ning Rongrong recalled the matters of her youth, she told her children, she once had a night, in all her life the most painful night, that caused the most significant change in her life. Early morning. Tang San awoke clear-eyed to undergo cultivation. Every morning cultivating purple demon eye had already formed a part of his biological clock. Today Oscar hadn't gone back to sleep but was instead cultivating, only he still hadn't awoken. Tang San softly and quietly left the dorm, moving onto the rooftop, beginning his necessary daily cultivation. After one night's rest, the internal injuries he sustained yesterday were already mostly well, and although his internal organs still ached somewhat dully, already it could not be considered serious. Another 1 or 2 days and he would completely recover. While cultivating Purple Demon Eye, in Tang San's mind appeared the events of yesterday's fight with the two brothers Tai Long and Tai Hu. Especially the two brothers' final attack. Spirits leaving the hand, pursuing the opponent to attack, focusing full power into one hit. Their spirit power was obviously lower than his, but could make him sustain injuries. If he had been struck head-on, he might still have suffered heavy injuries. Even if that was the Tai brothers' spirit ability, with this technique it didn't seem too difficult to accomplish. He similarly also had a hammer. If this kind of attack method also could be used with his hammer, what effect might it have? Although Tang San's hammer did not come from his spirit, he could be certain that his hammer compared to the Tai brothers' hammers was much heavier. As for pursuing the enemy, from a certain point of view, relying on controlling crane catching dragon could achieve it, similar to issuing his own hammer like a hidden weapon. Unfortunately, two kinds of spirits could not be used at the same time, otherwise using blue-silver grass binding on the shaft of the hammer, would that not become a meteor hammer? Thinking of this, Tang San decided to find some time to test whether his hammer could be used like this, what capacity, how to throw the hammer, using what technique. These all required practical experimentation to find out. Simultaneously it must also be practiced many times. Right now of course wouldn't do, that black hammer consumed tremendous spirit power. Right now his injuries still had not recovered. Hastily exercising might on the contrary easily injure him further. After concluding Purple Demon Eye cultivation, Tang San also did some simple hidden weapon drills until going for breakfast. He rose the earliest, and as he finished eating breakfast, Daimyo Bai arrived at the dining hall with a gloomy expression. Seeing Tang San he only nodded, and said nothing further. Just after Daimyo Bai, Xiao Wu appeared third, after that just Zhu Zuqing and Ma Heng Jun. Tang San expressed to Xiao Wu that there was already nothing the matter with him, and Xiao Wu reassured sat down to eat. Ma Heng Jun had a lively energy and bright appearance, as if he had lost several jin of weight. Although Fatty was straightforward, he could still read body language. Seeing Daimyo Bai's gloomy appearance, also dared not say anything, hurriedly eating breakfast. As for Oscar and Ning Rongrong, neither arrived at the dining hall. Fatty, you went out last night? Watching him finish breakfast, Daimyo Bai suddenly spoke up. Ma Heng Jun nodded, in a low voice saying. Yesterday the evil fire more or less emptied out. I should not have to go out for these 2 days. Daimyo Bai said. That's good. Tonight you stay at the dorms, I will go out to find those twins from last time. Fatty's eyes shone. Boss Dai, you eat meat, haven't I any soup to drink? Daimyo Bai snapped. For this kind of matter must be enjoy mutually, vigorously swinging hips isn't sweet. As he said this, he also deliberately looked at Zhu Zuqing. Zhu Zuqing did not have any reaction, as if she basically had not heard their words. This ice-cold young miss only drank the rice soup in front of her. The intangible conflict didn't continue. As the start of class bell rang, everyone hurriedly finished breakfast, arriving at the big grounds. Neither the dean or any teachers had arrived, but on the field there was already one person, Ning Rongrong. Still no sign of Oscar. Her fair and beautiful little cheeks looked wan and sallow, eyes reddened, spirit seeming very downcast. For class today they still had the Dean Flender. Tang San's group had waited for no less than a quarter hour before this Dean came strolling along. Flender's gaze first fell on Ning Rongrong, but he did not say anything to her. Today is your second class. What about Oscar? Did he sleep in again? Tang San hurriedly said. When I left this morning he was still cultivating, perhaps his mediation couldn't be broken in time. Flender frowned. For today's class we can't start without him. Tang San, you go call him over. Tang San was just about to return to the dorms when he saw Oscar hurriedly come running from the dorm. However, on his face was no panic from arriving late, instead brimming with excitement. "Oscar, do you want to run laps again?" Dean Flender glared at him. Oscar hastily shook his head. "No, Dean, please listen to my explanation. I broke through, I reached 30th rank." "What?" Not only Flender, everyone's astonished gazes turned to him simultaneously, including Ning Rongrong. Oscar's age was 1 year younger than Daimyo Bai. He was still only 14 years old. 14 years old attaining 30th rank spirit power, this already was equivalent to a shocking number. Even more significant was, Oscar had a food system spirit, belonging to the most difficult to cultivate category of spirits. From some kind of meaning, his 30th rank compared to a battle spirit master's 30th rank was much more challenging. But for each level a food system spirit master promoted, the food's auxiliary effect would strengthen enormously. On the DOULUO continent, 30th ranked or higher food system spirit masters already were comparatively rare. If joining the army, all could enjoy the pay of 1,000-man commander, or even higher. 40th ranked or over were even less common. 50th ranked or higher food system spirit masters were even more like phoenix feathers and unicorn horns, and 60th ranked or higher food system spirit masters practically did not appear. Even if there were, they would also be cultivated once in many years by the great clans or spirit hall. If a spirit grandmaster level food system spirit master could be said to produce food for 100 people to consume, then, one spirit elder, even if it was a spirit elder just broken through 30th rank, was also sufficient to supply food for 500 people or more. Along with rank going up, this figure would still continuously rise. At the same time, attaining 30th rank also meant a food system spirit master would be capable of producing an additional third kind of attribute food. Regarding assisting a team, it would enormously upgrade. Flender's eyes distinctly shone. Good, Oscar, you haven't let me down. You are among the current students the second to reach 30th rank. I congratulate you on behalf of the Academy." Right now, even Daimyo Bai's expression was no longer gloomy, walking up to Oscar's side and clapping his shoulder. "Little Ao, congratulations. Although you are a little bit slower than me in reaching 30th rank, as a food system spirit master, you already appear to be a more outstanding genius than me. Don't tell me, being jilted can to help a spirit master in a spirit breakthrough." Little Ao somewhat awkwardly glared at Daimyo Bai, again looking at the red-eyed Ning Rongrong, saying with a wry smile. "Always without any attachment, how can you speak about being jilted? Don't tease me." Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Ma Heng-jun stepped forward one after another to express their congratulations. Ning Rongrong stood in her place, looking at Oscar with a somewhat complex expression in her eyes, but Zhu Zuqing kept her head lowered, not knowing quite what to think. "Right, today's class will begin now." Flender's voice pulled everyone back from congratulating little Ao. "Today's class is very simple. Oscar, you have today's leading role. Today's course, is for each of you apart from Oscar, must eat at least one of the sausages produced by Oscar's spirit power." "What?" Xiao Wu cried out in alarm on hearing Flender's words. "Dean, what class is this?" Flender grandiosely said. "This is called adaptability training. I ask you, is life or reputation more important? When you can only pick one of them, which will you choose?" Although Oscar's spirit incantations are a bit vulgar, as I said yesterday, he is an innate full spirit power food system spirit master, extremely gifted. The sausages he makes are the best food system spirit I have ever seen. While at the Academy, he is one of you, you will learn together. If you are unable to reach a rapport with him, you will waste your best auxiliary companion. At the same time, this is also to train your attitudes. If even this bit is impossible for you, in the future how will you survive in the Spirit Master realm? In order to survive, by fair means or foul, let alone eating one sausage, when in a life and death situation, even if it is a rat, cockroach, or earthworm, all must be eaten. Hearing Flender's last words, the three girls present simultaneously paled, becoming distinctly unsightly. Especially Ning Rongrong already had a desire to throw up. This class is compulsory for everyone. Otherwise, you need not remain here. Don't doubt my decision. The first day each of you arrived, someone told you that Shrek Academy's education is for monsters, not ordinary people. Oscar, begin. 1. A degree A, a Chinese zombie, or hopping corpse.